Christianity is often viewed as a religious tradition that shaped the moral, ethical, and cultural fabric of Western civilization. However, it also played a significant role in laying the groundwork for secularism, a system that emphasizes the separation of religious institutions from governmental authority. The relationship between Christianity and secularism is complex and multifaceted, with Christianity both contributing to and resisting the rise of secular thought. This video explores the historical, philosophical, and theological developments within Christianity that facilitated the emergence of secularism. One of the earliest and most significant contributions of Christianity to secularism is its distinction between spiritual and temporal authority. The words of Jesus in the Gospels particularly render unto Caesar the things that are Caesar's, and unto God the things that are God's. Matthew 22:21 introduced the idea of a division between the realm of earthly governance and the realm of divine authority. This concept, while primarily theological, laid the groundwork for the separation of church and state. In the early Christian era, this duality was evident in the relationship between the Church and the Roman Empire. Christians recognized the authority of secular rulers, but maintained that ultimate loyalty belonged to God. The writings of early church fathers, such as Augustine of Hippo, further elaborated on this theme. Augustine's City of God distinguished between the earthly city and the heavenly city, emphasizing that Christians belonged primarily to the latter. While Augustine's vision was not explicitly secular, it underscored the idea that the church and secular authorities had distinct roles. During the medieval period, the church held significant political and social power, often blending spiritual authority with secular governance. Yet this dominance paradoxically contributed to the eventual rise of secularism in several ways. Conflicts between church and state power struggles between the papacy and monarchs, such as the investiture controversy, highlighted the tension between spiritual and temporal authority. These conflicts underscored the need for clearer boundaries between religious and secular domains. Legal and administrative frameworks. The Church's development of canon law and its administrative systems influenced secular legal traditions. These systems provided models for governance that could be adapted in non-religious contexts. Scholasticism and rational inquiry. Medieval Christian thinkers, such as Thomas Aquinas, integrated faith with reason, drawing on classical philosophy. This intellectual tradition encouraged critical thinking and laid the groundwork for the Renaissance and Enlightenment, both of which championed secular ideas. The Protestant Reformation of the 16th century was a pivotal moment in the relationship between Christianity and secularism. By challenging the authority of the Catholic Church, the Reformation decentralized religious power and fostered the development of secular governance. Individual conscience and Scripture. Reformers like Martin Luther emphasized the authority of Scripture and the primacy of individual conscience. This shift empowered individuals to interpret religious texts without relying on ecclesiastical authorities, promoting autonomy and critical thinking. Religious pluralism. The fragmentation of Christianity into various denominations created a landscape of religious pluralism. This diversity made it increasingly impractical for any single religious institution to dominate public life, paving the way for secular approaches to governance. Nation-states and sovereignty. The Reformation coincided with the rise of nation-states as rulers sought to assert their sovereignty and reduce the influence of the Church. This alignment of political and religious interests contributed to the development of secular political systems. The Enlightenment of the 17th and 18th centuries marked a significant shift toward secularism, drawing heavily on Christian intellectual traditions while simultaneously moving beyond them. Enlightenment thinkers adapted Christian ideas about the inherent dignity of the individual, derived from the belief that humans are created in the image of God, or these ideas became the foundation for secular concepts of human rights and democracy. The Christian emphasis on reason, as seen in the scholastic tradition, was embraced and expanded by Enlightenment philosophers. Thinkers like John Locke and Immanuel Kant, while critical of institutional religion, were deeply influenced by Christian moral philosophy. Enlightenment critiques of the Church's power and influence often drew on Christian ethical principles, such as justice and equality. These critiques supported the idea of a secular society governed by reason and law rather than religious dogma. Religious conflicts in Europe, such as the 30 Years' War, which spanned from 1618 to 1648, demonstrated the destructive potential of intertwining religion with politics. These wars, fought largely between Protestant and Catholic factions, devastated populations and economies, leading to widespread disillusionment with religiously motivated governance. The Peace of Westphalia, the treaties that ended the 30 Years' War, established the principle of meaning whose realm, his religion, granting rulers the authority to determine the religion of their states. While this did not fully secularize governance, it marked a step toward recognizing the need for political systems independent of religious authority. Thinkers like Voltaire and John Locke advocated for religious tolerance as a solution to sectarian conflict. Their arguments often drew on Christian teachings about compassion and justice, even as they championed secular frameworks for coexistence. Christian institutions played a crucial role in the development of education and science, which later became vehicles for secular thought. Medieval universities, many of which were established by the Church, became centers of learning that eventually fostered secular disciplines. The tension between faith and reason in these institutions encouraged critical inquiry and the exploration of non-religious ideas. Many early scientists, including Galileo Galilei, Isaac Newton, and Johannes Kepler, were devout Christians. Their work, often conducted within Christian frameworks, laid the foundation for the scientific method and the eventual secularization of knowledge. Christianity's emphasis on individual conscience and moral responsibility contributed to the development of secular ethics. The belief that humans are capable of discerning right from wrong, rooted in Christian theology, evolved into the idea that morality could exist independently of religious doctrine. Christian thinkers like Aquinas articulated the concept of natural law, which argued that moral principles could be discerned through reason. This idea influenced secular philosophies that sought to ground ethics in human nature and rationality. Christian teachings on love, compassion, and justice provided a moral framework that secular humanism adopted and reinterpreted in non-religious terms. Christianity's role in the rise of secularism is marked by a paradox. While often resisting secularization, the tradition also provided many of the intellectual, cultural, and moral foundations upon which secular thought was built. From its early distinction between spiritual and temporal authority to its contributions to education, science, and individual autonomy, Christianity laid the groundwork for a secular worldview. Understanding this historical interplay enriches our appreciation of both the religious and secular dimensions of modern society.